start of the 7-year period. What I am saying is this: by 2028, the infrastructure for the mark of the beast will be operational. All the Antichrist needs to do is take control of the existing system and add the worship requirement. He doesn't need to invent new technology. He doesn't need to convince people to adopt a new system. He doesn't need to build control mechanisms from scratch. The system will already exist, fully functional, universally integrated, controlling access to identity, money, employment, and essential services. All he needs is a crisis, an economic collapse, a cyber attack, and the moment that crisis hits, the voluntary system becomes mandatory. The convenience system becomes a control system. The identity verification becomes loyalty verification. Revelation 13:15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right now, there's no worship requirement, but the mechanism for enforcement is being built. A system where refusal means economic exclusion, where non-compliance means you can't buy or sell, where resistance means you're locked out of society. Add the worship requirement, and you have the mark of the beast. Why this generation? And here's why this is happening now, in our generation, and not 100 years ago or 100 years from now. The technology only recently became possible. You couldn't implement a global digital identity system in 1925. The technology didn't exist. Computers didn't exist. The internet didn't exist. Biometric scanners didn't exist. You couldn't implement a programmable digital currency in 1950. Electronic banking didn't exist. Digital transactions didn't exist. You couldn't implement a universal economic control system in 1975. Credit cards were just becoming common. There was no infrastructure for real-time verification across borders. But in 2025, we have smartphones. We have biometric authentication. We have high-speed internet. We have cloud computing. We have AI-powered verification systems. We have blockchain technology for digital currencies. Every piece of technology needed for Revelation 13's economic control system now exists. And not just exists, it's mature, it's tested, it's ready to deploy at scale. The convergence. But it's not just technology. Israel was reborn as a nation in 1948, for the first time in 2,000 years. Jerusalem came under Israeli control in 1967, for the first time since 70 AD. The Abraham Accords were signed in 2020, Arab nations normalizing relations with Israel. The Third Temple is being prepared, red heifer sacrifices, training of Levitical priests, plans for construction. Peace deals are being brokered, the exact covenant with many that Daniel prophesied. Global government institutions exist: UN, EU, WHO, World Bank, IMF.
Hey, Shalom, Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKodash, double under the apostles, bishops, elder of the great millstone, and Shalom to your brothers in the highways and byways doing the works sincerely and faithfully and continually fighting that good fight of faith. Lord willing, we'll find that number to be delivered. All right. So this is part 2 of the video we did yesterday, and it's pretty much self-explanatory what it's going into, the implementation and the the so-called future of tomorrow. You know, when the MOTB is fully established and implemented. And it's a shame that you got people out here in this world who can't see this and don't want to see it and downright hates the fact that we teach it. All right. But these things that we do have been given through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Right? So if you have turned your back at this teaching, at these teachings, if you have come to the conclusion that you're just going to wait until the Lord come so he may reveal it to you in time, then you truly are going to be on a position where the Lord is going to, probably do something terrible. I speak as a man when I say that, but damn, this shit is the writings on the wall, man. Even Esau is like, breaking out scriptures and breaking it down what this is about, what this whole thing is about. And this is Romans 11:7. It says, "What then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded." All right? The election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. And this is exactly what the Lord has done to a lot of you Israelites out there. He has blinded you from receiving this. Now, the Lord is also very merciful. He can blind you to this point, to this fact, but still give you some understanding on different things. That's mercy. All right? But if the rest were blinded, what's going to happen to those who are blinded? Let's continue. Ezekiel 12:2. It says, "Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a rebellious house." Now, isn't that the truth? They got eyes to see, but they don't see it. This is probably one of the main prophecies that are going to end, or I should say, that are going to, usher in while this third world's war is about to pop off. All right. Now, over there in England, as we was watching yesterday, over there in England, they're really putting the ball in motion over there concerning this MOTB. All right. But it's only here in Babylon that people kind of just put it on the back burner and don't think twice about it. Now, within that video, it mentioned that it's going to be voluntary. And I believe that to be true. I believe in the first beginning stages or phases of this thing, it's going to be a voluntary thing where you're going to be able to go and, take your time and decide whether or not if you want to do it or not. But then, and only then, when that, whether it be a cyber attack, some type of false flag, all right, something that's going to happen that's going to push and force Esau's hand to now take, draconian action on the American people. All right. And what that action is going to be, as we stated earlier, this MOTB is going to be voluntary. But when something goes down here in this country, now it's going to be mandatory. It will absolutely be mandatory. All right. So we're starting to understand these things, man. So let's go ahead. Let's go to Revelation 13:16, because again, speaking about that thing being mandatory. All right. And this is the scripture that's going to prove that once they implement that false flag or that terror attack, or whatever it's going to be, this is going to let you know that it's going to be made mandatory. It says, "And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead." What does it say at the top? "And he causeth all." That means what? Mandatory. He's going to cause you to get this thing. It's not going to be no question or no, come back next week. Oh, if you don't want to do it, don't worry about it. It's going to be mandatory. And they're going to exercise the power that the Lord has given them to fully put this thing in motion. All right? Everybody's going to get it. This is Revelation 3:10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. Now again, now you're looking at that small divide, if you will. All right? Because these men are not going to be lumped in with what we just read in Revelation 13 and 16. All right? When it's speaking of he causes all, there's going to be an exemption of men who are not going to be entangled into what we're reading here in Revelation 13 and 16. All right? And that exemption of men are going to be those of the hopeful elect. And this is why it's written in this manner. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. All right? And that hour of temptation is going to be when they're going to fully implement and make mandatory the taking and the receiving of that MOTB. All right? Now, a lot of people are going to default to it anyway, because the only way you can be connected to modern day society at that time is by via the our MOTB. There's gonna be a space and time where you're gonna have everybody, bucking up against it, talking against it, saying they're not gonna get it. All right, but just like in the 30s when they implemented the Social Security Act, all right, the so-called American people was all against it. We're not gonna do it. We don't want nothing to do with it. But what ended up happening? Slowly but surely, it just came a normal, regular thing. And this is the power of the government. The power of the government can beat you into submission, and even beat you into submission without you really knowing you're getting beat into submission. All right? So, those who of the hopeful elect, may the Lord, keep from that hour of temptation, as it is written, which shall come upon all the world. So these nations that you're seeing who are at war with each other, as Ronald Reagan said, they're going to put away their differences for a short moment. And this MOTB thing is going to be the groundbreaking news when the Lord really gives the go ahead for them to put it together. All right? So the MOTB is going to come upon all the world. And now this video, I broke it down to a couple different parts, but it pretty much, we don't really focus in on all these internet videos that we see. We'll make comments about them and do a little, expose on them. But other than that, this video here is one that kind of lines up exactly what the scriptures are saying. All right. And when these things come to pass, lo, they will come. As it was, as the man was saying in the video, that, this implementation of this thing is going to be a voluntary thing, then a mandatory thing, then a thing of you ain't buying, you ain't selling unless you got it. Now, we've been teaching this for years, from the head apostles on down. But when you hear Esau Edom, start to throw his little 2 cents in the mix, you're like, okay, it sounds about right. Then you hear Jake, men who profess themselves to be men of the Lord, saying what this MOTB thing really is, white sleeping with white women, it's sin, embargo. I mean, again, if this is the route y'all want to go down, have at it. But that day will come, and you're going to understand that the men of Great Millstone, from the head apostles on down, we've been teaching exactly what has been written and what it was, as the Spirit gave us understanding to understand what this thing was. All right. So right there, I'm going to end it there. There may be another quick third part to this, the ending of that video, but we'll see how it works out when I review it again. But until then, I'm going to say shalom.